Hello and welcome to another edition of the American Motors Guy. Alright everyone, in this video we are back to working on the Eagle. Now this car has fought me tooth and nail. Every time I fix one thing, three more break. It's what happens when you have older vehicles. But with all that being said, this car has been a nightmare. It was given to me by my brother. He used it as a daily driver for his wife, hauling the youngins around, and then it got parked in North Carolina for a long period of time, which I wanted it so bad, my brother just said, yeah, you can have it. So I towed it home to Tennessee, and sure enough, I'll have it running in a week. Don't you wish? Well, I found out I had a bad engine, come across a mail truck engine that ran. So we pulled it, popped it into the Eagle, and as soon as we cranked it up, it just poured oil. I mean, just ungodly amount of oil. I had put a new rear main seal in it, but I guess I did something wrong because it just dumped oil. Shut it back off. Let's go back at it. So pull the motor back out, put rear main seal back in, put motor back in, crank it up, and it just doesn't seem to run quite right. It's like missing, or it has issues. So I was like, well, maybe I don't have something quite right. So maybe I was wrong on something. So I figured if anybody knew about these cars, it would be Larry. So we hopped it over to Larry's place. I started playing with it a little bit. Larry goes, well, I want to do a compression test. So I'm like, we already did one. Everything was fine. I said, number 4 was weak. So sure enough, Larry gets out there and he starts doing his compression test. Lo and behold, number 4 is only 60 PSI. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Everything was running. The only difference was I used the head off of the original block so that I could run the aluminum valve cover. And maybe there's something wrong with the head. So we get into it, we pull the head, sure enough, we see some pitting in the valves, and one doesn't look quite right. It keeps sitting off to the side. It may be a bent valve, not sure. So I contacted Jeff Miner. He's another one of our club members. And Jeff said, yeah, man, bring me the head and I'll rebuild it for you. So Jeff did. We put the head back on the car, and we go back to doing a compression test, and we're still at 60 PSI. I'm like, this doesn't make a lick of sense. He goes, well, it's got to be deeper. So the decision was made. We're going to pull this engine again. So we ended up pulling the motor, and we go pull the piston, pull the plug out of the number 4 hole, and it just about falls out. And then you look at the piston, and then it's just, the rings are just hammered into this piston. It just does not have any give at all. And it's just on number 4. Now, there were some bad carbon spots on 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. All of them had a little bit of carbon buildup in the oil rings, but not that bad, not like 4 was. I don't know what happened in 4. I don't know if it was an oiling problem or what. So we had pulled the engine, and I had another engine at Larry's that I had bought. It was basically just a block and the crank and the pistons, the lower half. And we decided we'd just pop a piston out of that one, pop it in the other block, and that should take care of our problem. Well, we noticed that the rings were all rough and bad, and everything seemed to be okay as far as the cylinder walls. So we honed everything out nice and clean. We spent a lot of time doing the hone. We spent a lot of time putting the rings on, We took our time. We made sure that we had everything just the way it needed to be before we ever put that motor back into that car. Now we have all the rocker arms, the heads on, all of that good stuff. Now we still have all the accessories and things to put on, and maybe we should be able to get this thing to start. But I think we're going to do another compression test with everything sealed up and see what kind of numbers we get. Do a comparison. Now you'll see that the head was in the last 3 cylinders was what was just nuts. Nothing.
Okay, you can see here that it was.
And you can see there's like
number
8, 10,
number 10,
and
number
9
11
there, I
valve
believe,
that were
10, 11. 8, 10, and 11. So there's the motor. That was right after we put the head back on, and we do the test, and sure enough, it fails again. It was just heartbreaking.
We're going to find out here in just a few minutes.
You could use that for the last
This car, like I
Why
said, has
not?
fought us.
You ready?
Right.
You'll see right here with the 60 psi if we even get that.
We got a leak.
What is
It was just, like I said, every time we touch this thing, something else goes wrong. All right, there's the motor. It's ripped out, pulled apart. It was just, like I said, it's just, whenever you touch this thing, something else is going to break. So I'm just wondering what it is going to be, what will be breaking today.
Lots of grease on the fenders, didn't we?
And we had the motor pulled out. There's that piston.
So this is
It's just heartbreaking.
cylinder number 4.
I don't know if this, I'm trying to remember if this is number 5 or number 6, that this engine has been pulled and put in.
Let's just.
Now, I'm taking number 4 piston and I'm putting it into the number 5 hole. And look, it's tight. It's tight. It's really, really tight. Now put it in the number 4 hole. This thing will just about fall through.
It's going to fall quick. I don't even want to. In other words, it's just sloppy.
There we go. Look, whoop, whoop, whoop. And the rings are still on it, so it's just,
No to it at all.
it is just slap.
You can look at the rings themselves.
There's no give to those pistons at all.
You really
You can
see it's
see
worn
all of
down.
that carbon. It is just
they're all
packed.
probably
I
that
mean,
way.
packed in there. And it's just on
Maybe
one side. Just on one side of that piston.
Do some new rings.
but
So-
the good thing is the ridge is.
We made a
very, very
decision that,
Oh, well, we ain't.
yeah, we're just a little bit of a lip there. It's
Everything
hardly
inside was
anything.
clean and
Yeah,
smooth.
like-
So I think we're going to be fine with just a quick hone and another piston.
Camera, look down in my hole.
You know, thank God for
Take it
the
off
small
the stand.
things. Thank God it's not a complete tear it apart
Might have
and
some
complete rebuild. And you can see,
Yeah, we'll put a little
you
light
can
in
still
it,
see the
but-
cross hatches. They're there. It's smooth on this other side
weight. Wipe it.
a little bit.
Everything looks good.
But in the most part, the cylinder walls really looked good. And there's some carbon burn
It's got a little lip
right
there. but it ain't
in
bad.
there. A little bit of a lip,
I've
not
seen worse.
very much,
And running.
very little.
So, I
But
didn't really look
it's
at
just,
that.
look at that. See how bad that thing is
You
just
can actually
packed
see the
into
wear
that?
into the ring.
And the rings have no give. None.
Right. I mean,
They
you see
don't
that
pop
line
out.
going all the way
Where
across
they're at,
that
they're
ring.
glued. They're
And it
freaking
completely just
fused
slam wore out.
into that piston.
And it doesn't come back until it gets right here. You actually see the shine
And it
in
is
the
just
ring.
packed. I cannot
And
get
it's
over
just
how
that
packed
is
that
slap
piston
wore the
is.
heck out. And then look how far apart
That's
the
when we
gap's got a
started
gap
getting a
here,
little
and
bit
look
more
how close
worried
that
because
gap
we were
is.
like, okay, well,
That's not a good
we
scenario.
popped this one
right
out.
there.
How bad's the other's going to look?
So we'll split the gap, and then look. Oh God, look how crapped up that is. That ain't a willing squat, is it? All right, well, that's probably why that ring is
It's just
so worn out. This thing does
Unbelievable.
not get oil changes like it was
how
supposed to.
just that one
So,
particular one
Uh,
was just eat up.
we will definitely be
And
doing
like I said, the rest of them,
a whole lot more cleaning
not bad at all.
and
Not bad at all.
new rings, and we'll put it all back together and see what happens.
You would expect to see some
Oh,
with a
what
motor
fun,
with
what
100 and some thousand miles,
You know, the
but
problem we have with this.
just that one. Those are the seals that I ordered, the oil rings. So those of you who need the standard set, there you go. And those are the hub seals for the front axles there. And I ordered new CV joints. And this we were going to try to save the piston. We're going to try to save the piston. It has all the rings from all the other ones. So this is the last piston. So we're just sitting there
that's a
soaking and
good idea,
scrubbing,
Larry, storing
soaking
that-
and scrubbing,
Old gas,
trying to get it where everything will come clean.
stored in a 5-gallon bucket. I mean, it ain't much for anything else, but it makes a good cleaner. I think it's a pretty smart idea. They say the old trick was you take a ring that you broke or one that you didn't break.
And I would use the
Like
Old
cleaners for the
rings.
grooves.
I was always taught if you use an old
Always
ring,
fits.
it helps clean all the grooves.
So if you got a bad,
So that was the
one,
best
which
tool
did,
you could use
show
instead of
that
like a
everybody.
screwdriver or a pick or anything like that. An old ring actually works pretty good.
That's what we were doing.
as a cleaning
Clean
tool.
it out. This one's good to go.
You just kind of break it in half and you use it as a handle
As
and
we were taking the rings
just
off.
dig and go. Now here's that. This is the number
piston that
4
came out of
piston.
4. You can see how
Now as
cooked
I
it
was digging
right
out the
there.
ring, I was trying to
Yeah,
get them
it
out.
was
You can
cooked
see
all
how
the way
burnt
around.
that is.
And then you can
And then
see
right there, when I was trying to break out that
bad.
ring, I had the top one out.
it had
it took a
broken
little
all
work,
of that completely.
But when
It
I
was
took out the
cracked.
bottom ring,
and then
a chunk
I
of
didn't
that
even get the rest of
center
the
of
oil
that
ring
piston
out
right there
because it
come
was
out
so
with it
packed
again.
in
And if you
there.
look real close
So we ended up
there's
taking
another
another
crack
motor that Larry had over
in
here,
that section
and we pulled another piston out.
of that piston.
cleaned
So
it
that
up,
piston
put
is
another piston
trash.
in,
That's
and
when
now
we
we'll go
discovered,
into
okay, we
all
need
the
another
other
piston.
pistons
So
and
we popped
rings
one
and
out of the other
replacing and
block we
cleaning.
had.
and rehoning.
Sometimes you just don't find the thing
Our
until you
block.
really start breaking it down,
So we should
hoping
have
for the best. And we had other things to
good
do on the car,
comparison
so we started cutting out the back
what we
windows
had before.
and getting all of that mess cleaned
back
up.
at it.
But just trying to get something else done other
All
than
right, so me and Larry ripped out the back
just
quarter glasses, which I
motor
said that
work.
was something that
So
needed to be
we got the
done.
back quarter glasses
they
ripped
leak like a
out.
friggin'
All
sieve.
of that's cleaned out.
So
Well, one of them was.
they are now tore out.
I got a little rust
We gotta
repair
get
in the
those
corner there
done.
I've got to fix.
We
got the
have we're
seats
gonna place our
ripped
order
out.
for our
Oh my
half
God, look at all the
shaft.
grease on the side of the
It's
car.
gonna go down here. We have gaskets for everything else. We've got
All
door
right,
handles
so
that need to
now-
be fixed.
We have got door
Yeah, it kinda
handles
looks
that need to
sloppy
be
there.
fixed. Larry was pointing out all kinds
Some
of
other
things.
little
I didn't
odds
have
and
a
ends.
list. So when we go back to Larry's, I have a 3-page
That's the one I had all the problem with
list
the
of items
electric windows because
that
of
need
the
to be
broke
addressed.
wire. All right, so we
And
have
that all comes from all of this
completely
stuff.
honed all our cylinders. Boom, boom, boom,
Right
boom.
here.
Everything's honed. Cleaned up the edges. And we have
So we
put
still
new
have
rings
a
in.
lot more to do.
And like I said,
Those
we
are
got
all
a
the
broken
junk.
piston.
That's the garbage.
There's
And
our
I got
head,
2
the valve seals,
differentials.
seals,
I've got
everything's ready
an
to
extra
go.
block. There's
So-
another block.
With the broken piston, we had to go to
And
a
Larry
backup motor.
has plenty of room.
for
There's
parts.
got
So that's our
flywheel
backup.
bent, all kinds of crazy
Parts
crap.
department in motor.
But that's a spare engine that we
Alright.
pulled the plug out
And
of to put in this motor.
We will continue
So we're in good shape.
very soon.